Was Extreme Rules 2019 better than All Elite Wrestling's Fight for the Fallen? We talk about it next on the Squared Circle Psychobabble. Hello and welcome to the Squared Circle Psychobabble. My name is Michael Valenti. This is Ralph Valenti. Don't forget to subscribe. Hit that bell for notifications as we're trying to hit 10,000 YouTube subscribers before All Elite Wrestling's All Out. And the last pay-per-view before All Out was AEW's Fight for the Fallen, which happened the same weekend as WWE Extreme Rules 2019. A lot of people, including us, had their say about Fight for the Fallen, but we saw in the comment section during our review of Fight for the Fallen that some actually thought that Extreme Rules was, in fact, better. We did a poll on our community page saying which one was better. There was about 20% of that vote saying that Extreme Rules was better. So, Ralph, I ask you the question, which show was better, Extreme Rules or Fight for the Fallen?
Well, I think they were both definitely good. I think that Extreme Rules surpassed all expectations, especially for me, because I know when we first talked about this on the show, I said that I wasn't really looking forward to it, and I was kind of overlooking it. And some people even commented, saying, you overlooked Extreme Rules, and I guess by all rights, I guess I did. So if push came to shove, I feel like Fight for the Fallen was still slightly better. I feel like Extreme Rules had a lot of good moments and very good matches. But at the same time, I feel like the two main events rather, for Fight for the Fallen with Kenny Omega and Cima and the Rhodes brothers and the Young Bucks were really just better than anything we saw on Extreme Rules. Extreme Rules certainly had its high points. It had some good moments. It had some good matches. But I think just based on what the two main events were able to do for Fight for the Fallen, in my estimation, I think Fight for the Fallen was slightly better than Extreme Rules.
Personally, I think this was very tough to decide between
Mhm.
both shows because they were both very good shows this weekend. Um, I think if you're looking at match quality, just in-ring match quality, I think Extreme Rules had the better matches. I will say that the last two matches of Fight for the Fallen with Omega and Shima and the Rhodes and Bucks matches were probably the best of the weekend. However, from a collective in-ring match value, I think Extreme Rules consistently had good matches from beginning to end of the night. The only knock that I really have of Extreme Rules is that there were a lot of cases where I think the wrong person or team won the match. I think from the get-go, the first match of the night, I did not think Roman and Taker should have won that match. I think it should have been Drew McIntyre pinning The Undertaker, setting up a match at SummerSlam between McIntyre and The Undertaker. I think Heavy Machinery should have won the tag titles instead of the New Day. I understand where they're going with that, with everyone in the New Day winning the titles. But then again, I also think that Brock Lesnar cashed in on the wrong person. It should have been Kofi Kingston. I know a lot of people love Kofi Kingston. A lot of people love Seth Rollins too, but I think you could have set up Rollins versus Lesnar as a heavyweight championship unification match because we don't need two heavyweight champions anymore. With the wild card rule and people jumping brands all the time, it's not needed. So you could have Brock cash in on Kofi, challenge Rollins, winner take all for both heavyweight championships. So that's what I
Yeah.
take from there.
So yeah, like I said, I feel like Rules was definitely good. I think the biggest takeaway from Extreme Rules, at least for me, where there was two things. One, Alistair Black was made to look very strong in his well, it's not really a debut match. I guess you could say his reintroduction match against Cesaro.
Mm-hmm.
Cesaro is obviously a veteran in WWE. He's been there for a very long time. He's had some success in singles competition, probably most notably he's been successful for his tag teaming with Sheamus there in the bar. So that was one of the takeaways. And the other takeaway I actually had from this was, one, Baron Corbin is still very much the best heel in WWE, and I know that's something that people don't want to hear, but
I've been
the
saying it
job
for
of a
3 months.
the job of the heel is to go out there, get heat, and get booed. And for whatever reason, and I guess I kind of understand it, because right now we're kind of in the stage where everybody likes to point a finger at WWE and point out all its flaws and all the things they do wrong and not really compliment them when they do things right. And unfortunately, Baron Corbin was the quote unquote authority figure at the time when the ratings were really bad. So naturally, everybody pointed to Baron Corbin like he was the reason the show sucked. The show was bad for quite some time, and Baron Corbin was the least of my concerns. He knows what he's supposed to do. He goes out there, he gets heat. He got mega heat, especially when he did the end of days on Becky Lynch. I don't quite understand the heat that that Corbin gets from a standpoint of, people saying he's not qualified or he stinks and he's not capable of the role he's in. He's able to go out there. He's able to get booed. He has consistently decent to good matches. He's not great, but he plays his character well. And that's more than a lot of other people could say. He cuts a halfway decent promo, but I guess that's a rant for another day if I want to. That's my concise version of that. He goes out there, he knows what he's doing.
Right.
Final takeaway: Brock Lesnar came out and cashed in, and very much like the time where John Cena returned at the Royal Rumble, and people kind of jumped up because they were excited, and then kind of said, "Oh, this is Cena. We have to sit back down." If you pan that crowd and you listen to the reaction, Brock's music hit and everybody jumped up, kind of popped for him, and then they were like, wait a minute, we're not really supposed to be cheering for Brock Lesnar because of the whole part-time champion thing, which I totally get.
Now here's the thing. People immediately went to, oh, he's a part-time champion. The Universal Championship is going to go away for a long time. But honestly, here's how I see it now. They had to get Money in the Bank off of Brock Lesnar.
Yep.
You have to set up the match between Lesnar and Rollins. What are you going to have them predetermined cash in like we had last year with Braun Strowman? And then if Rollins beats him, that's 3 straight years Money in the Bank failed to cash in. This is the right move. I know people are crapping on the move, but this is the right move to have him cash in and successfully cash in. Like I mean, I'm kind of contradicting myself here because I said he cashed in on the wrong person, but it makes a whole lot of sense now in 2020 hindsight because you have Rollins versus Lesnar. Rollins can win the title back at SummerSlam, and Lesnar, whether he's there, maybe he moves to SmackDown once they go to Fox in October, and he could be part-time champion on the WWE Championship title instead. So I'm not 100% against this. Like some people are absolutely livid that this happened.
I get why people are upset because it's kind of like we're back at square one where it seems like we're going to have a part-time champion. My caveat with all of this is a clean win over Brock Lesnar for Seth Rollins is going to do more for him than his win at WrestleMania, where he had to give him a couple of low blows and essentially kind of steal a victory from Brock. Mm-hmm. They need to go out there, give them 15, 20 minutes, let them have the match that they were supposed to have at, was that SummerSlam where they had a match, I think that was going back almost 3 years now, that got cut short. I think it was when The Undertaker returned. Okay. I didn't remember off the top of my head, but let them go out there. They can have a halfway decent match. Let Rollins work around Brock Lesnar's limitations. We've seen whether it's been AJ Styles or Daniel Bryan that the smaller guy working around Brock Lesnar, that whole formula works. They can go out there and do that. If they have a prolonged Brock Lesnar title reign again where he doesn't show up week after week after week, well, then I don't understand putting the belt on him. But again, that all remains to be seen. So I'm fine with Brock Lesnar cashing in and winning from the standpoint of having Seth go over clean. And also, if you look at the ratings, guess what? Brock Lesnar won the belt and the ratings went up again. Mm-hmm. Big surprise there. It happens every single time.
Right. Now,
it's a business.
Right. Now, talking from a storyline advancement point of view, who do you think advanced their storylines better? Fight for the Fallen or Extreme Rules?
Definitely Extreme Rules, but that's also because WWE has weekly television right now. And a lot of the matches that were kind of announced for All Out, we already knew about. We knew we were going to get Moxley and Omega. We unfortunately didn't get Moxley because he's participating in the G1, so he wasn't there. So we didn't get any type of altercation or interaction between those two. I mean, obviously, we had the interaction between Jericho and Hangman. That was good. It wasn't great. I mean, it was kind of the same thing WWE does, pull apart brawls, and Jericho cuts a halfway decent promo, so that wasn't anything spectacular. The thing I took away most from Fight for the Fallen was this. We're still very much in the honeymoon stage with AEW because we don't have weekly television. It's still fresh. It's still new. It still feels it still has that aura with it. If they can carry that over once they go to weekly television, obviously that's going to be great. That will ensure long term success. But that still remains to be seen. So everything that they're doing still seems new to everybody. So obviously one of the takeaways was Luchasaurus. He was one of the guys that we talked about. Crazy over was really, the crowd was really hot for him. He had some really good spots, and he was probably one of the biggest high points of the night. The two matches, like I said, the co-main event with Kenny Omega and Cima, and then the main event with the Rhodes brothers and the Bucks. In my estimation, those were two really good matches to great matches. So, you know, to me, when I compare what AEW did versus what WWE did, a WWE show was obviously very good, but it was still very much a status quo traditional WWE pay-per-view. You knew what you were going to get. It was exactly what I kind of expected. It may have exceeded some expectations, but it wasn't anything crazy that they blew out of the water. AEW presented a show that felt different. It felt fresh, but again, it's only their third show, so of course it's going to feel that way. If it's a year or two into AEW kind of being the in their rollout of the promotion, and they're still putting on great television and great pay-per-views, then that'll be impressive. But it's going to be harder to do week in and week out when they go to television.
I am going to have to disagree with you. I think
Okay.
Fight for the Fallen did much better at advancing stories than Extreme Rules did. Like I said earlier, I think a lot of the cases were because the wrong person won or the wrong team won. Case in point, we have Bayley winning the SmackDown Women's Championship against Nikki Cross and Alexa. I think Nikki should have pinned Bayley and set up a feud with Alexa and Nikki for the SmackDown Women's Championship at SummerSlam. I think every match at Fight for the Fallen, with the exception of one, and that would be Brandy over Allie, I think the right team won for the advancement of a storyline. I think also, we know where the next step is going in each of the matches. So we know the Dark Order's facing the Best Friends. We know the Lucha Brothers are going after the Young Bucks. We got some advancement between Kenny Omega and Chris Jericho as technically the go-home show to All Out. We saw something with B. Priestley and Dr. Britt Baker. Hopefully the concussion is healed in time for All Out. I hear it's a pretty severe concussion, but, hopefully she'll be okay in time. So, and we even got a hint of possibly Jimmy Havoc versus Darby Allin at All Out. So I think Extreme Rules, sure, there were a few payoffs to some feuds. I think we've seen the end of the Shane Roman feud. I guess we'll see the story continue with Ricochet and AJ Styles. Who knows what's going on with Daniel Bryan? We're recording this before SmackDown, so we don't know the announcement that he's making. But I'm assuming he's going to be taken out of the tag team picture with Rowan. So it seems like there's just too many loose ends with Extreme Rules where that's not the case with Fight for the Fallen. You know where they're going next.
Yeah. And that could also be because WWE knows they're going to have weekly television that leading into SummerSlam, obviously. But when you look at what AEW has right now, they don't have that. They don't have the luxury of being able to tell a story or let a story develop over the course of weeks or months. And, they
have the Nightmare Family YouTube channel, the Road to series.
So and how many views does that get? 50,000, 100,000, whatever it is. It's not close to how many people are watching their shows, I imagine.
Good point.
So that's limited exposure in comparison to WWE having exposure to millions of people on the USA Network.
True.
Not to say people can't go on YouTube and look it up, but it's just a smaller crowd, and not everybody's watching that the way they're watching the pay-per-views and the stuff on BR Live. But so that would be my main point. WWE knows they have weeks to kind of have these or allow these storylines to play out. AEW kind of is in a position right now where they have to tell the bulk of the story during those pay-per-views or those special events like Fight for the Fallen, so that way it carries over, which, like I said, it's a pro and it's a con. More of a pro because, if you don't have weekly television, it means people aren't necessarily going to get sick of seeing you.
Right. So, final thoughts on the whole weekend of Extreme Rules and Fight for the Fallen?
Some really good wrestling, a really good weekend. Some surprises. Obviously, Brock Lesnar cashing in was a high point for some people. For not, maybe not so much for other people. All the shows delivered. I think from what I saw from Evolve was pretty good so far, and New Japan Pro Wrestling delivered again.
Yep, I agree. I mean, there's some people actually saying that the matches for the G1 Climax was actually the best of the whole weekend. So
Yeah.
the question is, why aren't we talking about those? Because quite honestly, there's so much wrestling that we still have to catch up on all this wrestling. So let us know in the comments. Let us know in the poll above my head which one you thought was better, Extreme Rules or AEW Fight for the Fallen. Don't forget to subscribe, hit that bell for notifications. We're trying to hit 10,000 YouTube subscribers before All Elite Wrestling's All Out. And of course, share this video all over social media. We're on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at SCPB Podcast. For Ralph Valenti, my name is Michael Valenti, and thank you for watching the Squared Circle Zygo Babble.